thought I made a mistake, then I discovered I was targeted.
A plane package arrived one afternoon, its simple brown paper hiding a world of possibilities. My hands trembled, tracing the tape, a mix of excitement and guilt swirling inside me. Inside were dresses, daring and vibrant, so different from the quiet life I was leading. They were a challenge to every rule I lived by, a silent rebellion waiting to be worn. He saw it immediately, the flicker of defiance in my eyes. His voice was calm but firm. "Send it back." For the first time, I didn't obey instantly. I hesitated. And in that hesitation, I saw years of control masquerading as care. I remembered his words, repeated so often they became my own thoughts. Respectable women dress modestly. They find fulfillment at home. Our love felt real, it truly did, but looking back, I can see how it slowly chipped away at me, piece by piece, until I wasn't sure who I was without him. Then, like a sign from the universe, an invitation arrived, a high school reunion. The timing was almost too perfect. He was scheduled to be away on a business trip. That night, alone in our quiet house, I pulled out the red dress. The fabric felt foreign and exciting against my skin. Staring at my reflection, I saw a stranger, someone with a spark in her eyes I hadn't seen in years. It was the woman I used to be, or maybe the woman I was always meant to become. The night of the reunion felt electric. My hands shook as I applied my makeup, a little darker, a little bolder than usual. Every brushstroke was an act of defiance. When I walked into the party, heads turned. My friends stared, a mix of shock and admiration on their faces. I heard someone whisper, "He would never let her wear that." The word "let" echoed in my head, a painful reminder of the cage I hadn't even realized I was in. Old classmates I hadn't seen in a decade came up to me, their compliments feeling like a lifeline, reigniting a confidence I thought was long gone. The music was loud, the drinks were flowing, and with each sip, the rigid boundaries I had lived within for so long began to blur. The energy of the crowd was infectious. Someone I vaguely knew from school leaned in close, shouting over the music, offering me a small pill. "This will make the night unforgettable," they promised. In that moment of reckless abandon, chasing a feeling of freedom I hadn't tasted in years, I took it. I didn't think about the consequences. I didn't think at all. The rest of the night became a blur. A chaotic montage of flashing lights, pulsing music, and fragmented sensations. I remember heat, motion, and a feeling of being completely untethered. I woke up to the harsh light of morning in a room I didn't recognize. Panic seized me, cold and suffocating. My beautiful red dress was torn. My head was pounding, and my memory was a black hole with only terrifying fractured images at the edges. A deep, chilling fear settled in my stomach as I looked at my phone, filled with dozens of missed calls from him. The ride home felt like an eternity, every passing minute amplifying the shame that burned in my chest. I stood under the shower for what felt like hours, scrubbing my skin until it was raw, desperately trying to wash away the night, to wash away the feeling of regret that clung to me like a second skin. But it was a stain that went deeper than my skin. I couldn't wash away what I couldn't remember. He was home. He'd come back early. He moved through the house with a terrifying, precise calm. His voice never rose, but his words hit me like a physical blow. "I know everything," he said. Just like that. There was no room for discussion. He slid a stack of neatly printed papers across the table. They were final. I tried to explain, to apologize, to make sense of a night I couldn't even piece together myself. But my words were empty, swallowed by the gaps in my memory. From the closet, the dresses I'd bought seemed to mock me in their silence. The days that followed were a blur of judgment. Whispers followed me at the grocery store, and sideways glances at work made every moment unbearable. My friends, the same ones who admired my dress, now urged me to just forget about it, to move on. But how could I forget a night that had cost me everything, especially when I didn't even know what truly happened? I needed the truth more than I needed comfort. I started digging. I needed to understand. A meeting with a lawyer revealed fragments of the night, pieced together from other people's stories, each one more painful than the last. There were photographs, clinical and cruel, that showed a version of me I didn't recognize, a person completely out of control. My marriage ended not with a fight, but with a quiet final signature. My home, my job, my reputation, they all disappeared so quickly it felt like my life was dissolving around me. Therapy was my last resort. It was there, in the quiet safety of that room, that I was forced to confront the person I had become. The years of being controlled, of suppressing every desire and impulse, hadn't made them go away. It had just bottled them up until they exploded in the most destructive way possible. But something about it all felt wrong. Too neat, the package, the reunion, his trip, it was all too convenient. A small, persistent thought began to grow. This wasn't just a mistake. This was orchestrated. Slowly, disturbingly, evidence started to surface. Old text messages, deleted call logs, financial records. A pattern emerged, a careful, deliberate plan. I learned I hadn't just failed, I had been guided towards that failure. Some of my own friends, choked with guilt, confessed things they had withheld, whispers they'd overheard, strange requests they'd been asked to fulfill. A much larger, more sinister scheme began to take shape, something that went far beyond a personal betrayal. My downfall hadn't been an accident. It had been designed. And with that realization, the shame that had been suffocating me for months began to burn away, replaced by a cold, sharp anger. This anger gave me focus. I stopped hiding and started fighting. I gathered every piece of proof I could find, every message, every transaction, every lie. I refused to be silenced by shame. Then another package arrived. Unmarked, just like the first one. But this time, it wasn't filled with dresses. It was filled with answers. Documents, recordings, irrefutable proof of a conspiracy and a deliberate campaign to destroy me. One that extended far beyond my marriage into business dealings and hidden agendas. My personal humiliation had just been collateral damage in a much bigger game. Fear was gone, replaced completely by resolve. I scheduled the press conference. I walked into that room full of reporters wearing another red dress. But this time, it wasn't a symbol of rebellion, it was armor. I told them everything. The truth flooded a room that had been built on lies, and the foundations began to crack. The empires my ex-husband and his associates had built crumbled faster than anyone expected. Official investigations were launched, arrests replaced whispers,